As reported here on Action News, before it happened, Pete Rose has left the country. Here is Scott Palmer.
Yeah, but he's got a visa. I mean, he's not going to be arrested or anything.
Yeah.
Sure, anytime he wants to play at the Vet, he's welcome back here. Pete Rose did make it official today. He will play baseball next season in Montreal. Pete signed a one-year contract with the Expos and will make about $500,000 less than he did last season as a Philly. We're waiting for late arriving video from Montreal. We'll have it for you at 5:30. The Eagles also had a news conference today. Marion Campbell naming former Baltimore Colts head coach Ted Marchibroda as his new offensive coordinator. Marchibroda comes to the Eagles from Detroit, where he has run the Lions offense for the last 2 seasons. He replaces Dick Wood, who Marion Campbell fired last month after the Eagles offense finished dead last in scoring. But Marchibroda has plans to change that.
A player here of the caliber of Wilbert Montgomery and a quarterback of the caliber of Ron Jaworski and receivers like Quick and Spagnola. I think that we should have a balanced attack, an excellent attacking balanced attack, that if the situation calls upon us to be run to win, we're capable of doing that, or if it calls upon us, we have to put the football in the air, that we're capable of winning that way.
All right, the Super Bowl, of course, coming up Sunday, and the Washington Redskins are still a slight favorite to beat the Raiders. The Eagles I talked with this week agree with the odds makers.
I think the Redskins have a team that each one of their players complement each other, whether it's offense, defense, special teams, or whatever. And I think they're going to beat the Raiders by 10 points.
Washington Redskins, once they get a lead, they have the ability to control the ball with Riggins at halfback. They've got a very good defense, and their special teams work very hard to get them in very good field position. So I would have to lean towards the Redskins, and only because we played them this year. We haven't played the L.A. Raiders.
I think the L.A. Raiders will win it.
Why?
I think they have a better football team than Washington. I think they have a good offensive team, a good defensive team, and they're very aggressive.
Well, I said earlier this week that it would be the Raiders. I still agree. You disagree.
I think the Redskins.
All right, how about you, Mark?
I have to go with the Redskins. If for nothing else, they're sort of the home team.
Okay.
Close enough.
Right.
They're close, right. Gentlemen, the machine that launched the computer age has been given a special place in engineering history. The National Society of Professional Engineers has named ENIAC, built at the University of Pennsylvania, as one of the 10 biggest engineering achievements of the past 50 years. Now, ENIAC's full name was Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer. It was a room full of vacuum tubes and wires, making up the first electronic, large-scale, general-purpose digital computer. When it was built back in 1946, it was the most complex electronic device ever.
Hey, what's a tough cleaning job in your kitchen? Someplace you'd use Top Job.
These cabinets, they get covered by greasy dirt.
Right, but greasy dirt's everywhere, like walls.
Wow.
And no wax floors, and...
Countertops, appliances.
Sure.
It's nearly all over.
In fact, on the toughest baked-on greasy dirt, like on this range hood, Top Job by the bucket cleans better than the leading pines in ammonia.
Say, if Top Job cleans so much so well, shouldn't it be called Top Jobs?
We need more glasses.
More glasses? Right back.
This woman's about to face the moment of truth. The moment she discovers if her dishwasher detergent did the job.
They better not be spots.
Or didn't quite do the job.
They're spots.
Try Cascade. Most detergents can leave drops that spot, but Cascade sheeting action leaves glasses virtually spotless. Cascade's moment of truth...
Now that's a socially acceptable glass.
...is Cascade's moment of glory.
What's he doing? Just lit a cigar and then he put it out. Bet it's a Dutch Masters or El Producto.
How come?
They've changed. Most of theirs don't use natural leaf wrappers anymore. Now, Gracia y Vega's still an honest cigar. Gracia y Vega still gives you the rich tobacco taste of natural leaf wrappers.
He's doing it again.
He ought to switch to an honest cigar.
Gracia y Vega, still an honest cigar.
He's doing it again.
Lots of cold medicines with antihistamines make lots of claims about relieving all your cold symptoms. But there's something they don't talk about. Your tight, clogged-up chest. Because they have nothing to say. This is Head and Chest, the cold medicine that doesn't leave your chest out in the cold. Head and Chest not only unclogs your nose and sinuses, it unclogs your chest, too. They can't. Get Head and Chest. It doesn't leave your chest out in the cold.
It's hard to believe it could get colder tonight than it was last night, but is that a possibility, Dave?
It's not only a possibility, Lisa. At this hour, Accu-Weather is calling for it to happen. We had record-breaking temperatures overnight. Matter of fact, there was something like at least a dozen record low temperatures set across the country during the past 24-hour period. Quite a few of them right here in the east, quite a few of them in the Delaware Valley. Let's just give you some examples. Of course, by now you know that Philadelphia had a new record low, -3 degrees at 6:30 this morning. The old record was 5, set a long time ago in the year 1940. Atlantic City at the airport, they officially recorded 1 degree, a new record temperature. Their old record was 4 above in 1971. And the folks in Wilmington, Delaware, -6 degrees early this morning. Their record again was set in the year 1940 when they had 0 degrees. And things are going to get even colder than that for some of those areas come tonight. Let's show some numbers for this current hour on City Line Avenue. We have certainly warmed up from our new record low of -3 early this morning. 13 degrees at the present is Accu-Weather. Relative humidity 57%. The barometer 30.41. It is steady, and the winds are out of the west at 8 miles per hour. Now you take the temperature reading of 13 and the winds out of the west at 8 miles per hour. You put them together. There's a magic formula. The wind chill factor is -7 at this hour as the evening begins. Baltimore had a new record low too. They were -1. Washington, D.C., a new record low 2 above. And in Pittsburgh, record cold for them. They broke their old record. They were -7 early this morning. For this evening, Accu-Weather says they're trying to delay posting this overnight temperature, but we can't. Frigid, moonlit sky. Should be a beautiful night to be inside someplace observing the moon. -5 in the suburbs, about 8 degrees in Center City. For tomorrow, Accu-Weather says sunny and quite cold, a high of 14 degrees. But tomorrow night, we could get down to about -10 in the suburbs, 5 above for Center City. So the worst really is yet to come. On Sunday, we're going to moderate up to 22 degrees in Mark. I can't wait for it to get up to 22 degrees on Sunday. That's the exclusive Accu-Weather forecast. All right, Mark.
Okay, Dave, you come inside here now and warm up. Now, for you folks who don't like this weather, bear in mind some people do, especially penguins. In case you'd like to invite a few penguins over for the weekend, just call the San Diego SeaWorld. They are having a penguin baby boom.
It's the first attempt at hand-rearing Antarctic chinstrap and gentoo penguins. And though these month-old chicks don't have their tuxedo feathers yet, they're already the stars of the show at the SeaWorld Penguin Laboratory. For the next month, the chicks and remaining eggs are under quarantine to contain any potential disease. This is also the first time collectors have brought back penguin eggs from Antarctica instead of adults. And handlers say they had to make educated guesses about proper care for their new charges. Assistant bird curator Frank Toohey.
Keep in mind that penguins are studied only a very few months of the year, and that's when they're at land. What do they do the rest of the year? What happens when they're not breeding? How much do they eat? Where do they go? What sorts of is their behavior like? Well, we hope that we can work on some of those answers here.
Of 250 penguin eggs collected, about 170 have hatched. Breeders call that a tremendous success rate.
When the gentoo and chinstrap chicks grow up, they'll join their cousins here in the Polar Exhibition area.
There, they will be enjoyed by SeaWorld's 3 million annual visitors and studied by researchers much more closely than is possible in the wild. Of course, the laboratory is no replacement for study in the wild. Still, the human parents of these young penguins look forward to the day when they become grandparents and can boast another first, the first self-sustaining colony of Antarctic penguins in North America. Andrew Holtz, San Diego.
There is lots more still ahead on the early edition of Action News. We'll have a progress report on the fight against a crippling birth defect, spina bifida.
There may be snow on the ground, but I tell you, Atlantic City casinos are thinking summer when it comes to jobs. Those stories and much more is coming up. Updates on sports and Accu-Weather when the early edition of Action News comes right back.
You probably think a guy who does this for a living needs to shower with a deodorant soap. No way, because I made a break from deodorant soaps. A clean break with Ivory. Look inside. Ivory's the basic natural soap to give you an honest clean. Not like most soaps that mix up clean with deodorants or heavy perfumes. That stuff won't get you clean. And besides, if you use a deodorant anyway, who wants one in their soap? Ivory does just what a soap should do. Get me as clean as I can be. So I feel clean, I smell clean, and that's an honest clean.
Make a clean break with Ivory. No soap can get you cleaner.
And now, Basic Natural Ivory Soap comes in a new liquid. Try it.
detergent and fabric softener? I'm out with 2 loads to go. Never touch the stuff. I've gone solo.
Let's lose these. You're going solo. It gets clothes deep down clean and fluffed up soft. It'll clean out tough, farm dirt, and soften.
Look, Dirt mats down fibers. Solo cleans fibers, lifts them up, releases deep down dirt. And Solo softens, so fibers feel cushy.
Overalls are clean, deep down clean. How's this? Fluffied up soft like you said. And look, not a lick of static cling. Kate, I'm going solo. Emma, with that tire, you're going nowhere.
Go Solo.
Chopper 6, only on Action News.
Action News continues with Scott Palmer, Dave Roberts, Lisa Thomas-Laury, and Marc Howard.
Hello again. The big story on Action News this evening is the return to the Delaware Valley of the reputed godfather of organized crime here. Nicodemo Scarfo of Atlantic City was released from federal prison in Texas today after serving most of a 2-year sentence for illegal possession of a gun. Scarfo, who's seen here in some file footage, was released 8 months early for good behavior. He's expected to return to the area later this evening. Even while in prison, federal officials say that he was the man in charge of the rackets in the Philadelphia and Atlantic City areas. Action News reporter Cathy Gandolfo has put together a special report, a chronicle of the mob activities that led up to Scarfo's alleged dominance of the local mob.
On the night of March 21st, 1980, reputed organized crime boss Angelo Bruno was murdered as he sat in his car outside his South Philadelphia home. Just about 1 year later, Philip Testa, the man police say was Bruno's successor, was killed in a bomb blast at his home. According to Pennsylvania and New Jersey investigators, the man who ascended to power following Testa's death was Nicodemo Scarfo. Prior to this, Scarfo was allegedly the Bruno crime family's man in Atlantic City, overseeing loan sharking and illegal gambling operations. Scarfo, who lives on Georgia Avenue in Atlantic City, served a 6-month prison term in 1964 for manslaughter, and he served 2 more years for contempt for failing to answer a crime commission's questions. In 1980, Scarfo, his nephew Philip Leonetti, and Lawrence Merlino were acquitted of murdering a Margate contractor. However, Scarfo was sentenced to 2 years for possession of a weapon, for which he has been paroled after 17 months. Since the death of Angelo Bruno, at least 21 reputed organized crime figures have been killed. Lieutenant Colonel Justin Dentino of the New Jersey State Police is an expert on organized crime activity in the state. He says Scarfo continued to run the family from his Texas jail cell.
Through the history of organized crime, that even though a boss is in prison, that any homicides that occur would not occur without his approval.
Dentino says Scarfo associates Phil Leonetti, Lawrence, and Salvatore Merlino are the men who carried out all of Scarfo's orders. With Scarfo out of jail, Dentino says lawmen will be tailing him and will maintain total surveillance on him and his close associates. Dentino expects that Scarfo will flex his muscles and make sure that everyone knows he's the boss and in total control, and will eliminate any resistance.
I believe that there'll be a few more homicides that will occur relatively quickly to eliminate any remaining pockets of resistance. And then in the future, I believe that there'll be a continuation of violence within the Scarfo organization because he is a violent-prone individual. He has surrounded himself with violent-prone individuals, and he doesn't need too much of an excuse to kill someone.
With most of his opposition out of the way, Dentino says Scarfo will be out to make some money in Atlantic City and will increase his bookmaking, loan sharking, narcotics, and labor racketeering activities. Dentino does not think that Scarfo's life is in any immediate danger. If there is any resistance left to Scarfo's rule, it could come from the remaining members of the Riccobini crime family. According to Dentino, they could be Scarfo's targets. Dentino suggests that anyone who is on the outs with Scarfo should either make peace with him or perhaps visit an uncharted island. I'm Cathy Gandolfo, Channel 6 Action News.
And one footnote to all this, Nicky Scarfo is free tonight, but his top associate, alleged top associate, is not. Salvatore Chucky Merlino has been convicted of trying to bribe a Margate policeman. Merlino could go to jail for up to 15 years. He will be sentenced next week.
One of the many disadvantages of prison life, according to those who live it, is the food. Well, it's going to be an improved menu at the city jail in Trenton, New Jersey soon. The prisoners here will be getting ham and eggs for breakfast and hamburgers for lunch and dinner instead of the usual bologna sandwiches, thanks to City Council. Council voted last night to contract with a restaurant for the new menu. The lone bidder was Nick Montes, owner of the new Majestic restaurant just opposite Trenton City Hall. Ironically, it was Nick who prepared those bologna sandwiches, which sparked a controversy last year.
Well, a former Philadelphia policeman has been awarded $680,000 in damages against his lawyer. The cop was left paralyzed after an accident in 1968 that involved a Philadelphia police cruiser. The officer was originally awarded $450,000 back in 1975, but then he claimed that his lawyer, Barton Haynes, didn't do a good enough job. So he sued the lawyer for malpractice, and now he's won. By the way, there's an even stranger twist in this story. The injured officer's name is Frank L. Rizzo. Same name, no relative to the former mayor and police commissioner. Well, it took only 60 seconds for 4 masked gunmen to rob the exclusive Christie's auction house in London of $1.5 million in jewels. The robbers struck during broad daylight, wielding shotguns and sledgehammers. They stole just 4 pieces of jewelry, 2 of them from the collection of the late railroad heiress Florence Gould. The raid was filmed on closed-circuit TV, but investigators are not talking about whether it provided any clues. Not yet, anyway. An American soldier who claimed he was kidnapped by German anti-nuclear protesters now admits he made up the story. Specialist 4th Class Liam Fowler could be prosecuted by German officials, but there's been no decision on that yet. Fowler has claimed he was kidnapped while on the way to a Pershing missile nuclear base where he's assigned. But after he was found Sunday sleeping in a barn, authorities began to doubt his story.
It was on this day back in 1981 that the world held its breath, awaiting the end of an event that had been front-page news for more than a year. January 20th, 1981, Iran's Ayatollah Khomeini orders the release of 52 American hostages held captive for 444 days. The hostages, 50 men and 2 women, boarded a jet for Algeria, then to West Germany, and finally home to U.S. soil. Khomeini is still in power today, fomenting trouble throughout the Middle East. The former hostages are well on their way toward rebuilding their lives.
On a brighter note here, still to come on Action News, just ask the Philly fanatic. Pete Rose may be gone, but he'll never be forgotten.
And our What's New for You won't help you walk on water, but it will make trekking on snow and ice easier. We'll have those stories and more. Scott Palmer will be back with sports, and Dave Roberts updates a frigid forecast from Accu-Weather, all when Action News returns.